Our behaviour is, to a great extent, predicated on our emotions. We see and hear something, we tell ourselves a story about what we hear and see based on the filters that we have. That story leads to an emotion, and that emotion then leads to our behaviour. If we want to manage our behaviour, and let's face it, that's really all we can hope to manage, then we need to manage our emotions. The problem is that we need to be self-aware enough in that moment to realise that our emotions are taking over, so that we can then apply one of the tools. So one of the tools that we talk about in HardTalk is affect labelling, or as we prefer to call it, naming our emotions. This may seem very simple, but there is a lot of science behind it. If you put a group of people into a functional MRI machine and then you show them photos of humans with very strong emotions on their faces, those people in the MRI machine, their amygdala lights up. That's the monkey part of the brain, or the Homer Simpson part of the brain. It's the part of the brain that really focuses on what feels good right now. And we really don't want Homer Simpson in charge when we're having these difficult conversations. Instead, we want Dr. Spock in charge. Dr. Spock is the part of the brain that we call the executive brain. It's the bit that can do vigilance, that can assess, that can consider, and that can come to rational decisions. So somehow we have to move from Homer Simpson to Dr. Spock. And one of the ways we can do that is by naming the emotions that we feel. When asked to do this in an MRI machine, you can actually see the amygdala quieten down and the executive brain light up. By naming our emotions, by getting a little bit of distance, by forcing Dr. Spock to pay attention and to get involved, we can then start to wrestle those emotions back under control. A great book about emotions is by a lady called Tiffany Scott Watt. It's called the Book of Human Emotions, and she looks at emotions across all the world in lots of different cultures. And she talks about how we are in conversation with our emotions, how we are in conversation with the way that we think about them, the way we name them, and the way that we make sense of them. And certainly the science seems to back this up. If you want to control your behaviour, you need to control your emotions. And a very simple way of doing that is by acknowledging that they exist, naming them with as much detail and as much granularity as you can, so that you're in control, not them.